Hello, everyone. We're here tonight with Seth Hill. He's from the northeastern mountain of Georgia, and he has graced us with his presence. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Seth?
Yeah, my name's Seth Hill. I'm running around 200-ish colonies right now. I'm from Lakemont, Georgia. I'm living in Saltee right now, which is a little further south,
Mhm.
but it's still kind of the same area. So I'm still beekeeping in Appalachia, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And so you're at 200 colonies. How many did you start with this spring?
This spring, I started with around 65. I took 72 south December the 1st, and I came out in the spring with 60, about around 65 ish. So,
65. So, how have you been doing your splits so far this year?
well, I ran basically my operation was a big queen mate and nuke battery.
Hmm.
So I did my splits with a lot of one frame of brood and a queen cell and a frame of food and a shake of bees. And then after, you pull a queen for a few rounds, they start growing so you can split them again. And that's basically what I've done all year is queen cell, one
Hmm.
frame brood, one frame food. Works good.
That's funny. It's almost exactly what I do. Uh, um, so, great minds think alike, I guess. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I do. I did not have the mating that I wanted. It was horrible weather. Like we just
Yeah.
infinite rain, June through mid-July, which I know is normal for you, but for here it's not. We
Really?
had
Oh, wow.
we had rain, so we get about 50 inches of precipitation a year, and that's taking
Yeah.
account into snow as well. And so I would guess Georgia's north of 65 or 70, but
Yeah.
or your part of Georgia, but bad mating and everything, but I still sold 29 and I'm doing exactly what you said. I split them out as hard as I could. And this coming week, I'll be putting them together into big hives for winter time and getting them treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I did a little bit of that last week. Took two mate and nukes and combined them every so often.
Yeah.
Pulled every other queen, all that good stuff. So now they're still sitting in the box. I just got to wait. I ordered some buckets, so I'm waiting on them to come in so we can poke the lids out to feed with. And then once we get all that going, we're going to start transfer them into 10 framers and
Yeah.
get ready to make the move south again.
Oh, really? Wow. So you're going south way earlier than last year.
Well, not way earlier. We're just kind of getting prepared.
Oh,
You
gotcha.
kind of, the move around here is generally to start your oxalics around November. So I like to have mine winterized by like the 1st of October. That
Mhm.
way I don't have to mess with any of that. And then I can just pick them up and haul them south the 1st of December.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how much of difference do you think it made being your colonies being, is it down in Hayhira? Is that where you brought them?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Hey, Hira. It's Florida north of the Georgia line.
Yeah. So Bob's colonies weren't really building up till mid-February, but yours were really
Right.
brooding hard around like
Oh,
Christmas time.
I think I had 2 frames of brood the 3rd week in January.
Yeah.
And they were little itty bitty, barely scraping through type of colonies. They weren't big honking,
Yeah.
singles or nothing like that.
Do you think your treatments worked better than last year, so you won't have the similar issues this fall?
Yeah, I took a lot more attention into the treatment issues.
Yeah.
So, and checking every so often and tried to maintain some colony health throughout the year to kind of help them combat some viruses that they
Yeah.
get from the mites too. But yeah, taking the fall treating a lot more serious than which
Yeah.
I took it serious last year. I just did what
Didn't test.
everybody does and was like, I don't need to roll. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you come in 3 weeks later and it's like, man, half the colonies are gone. It's like,
Yeah. It's really a shocker. It doesn't happen that often in Maine because our season's so short. We only have brood, I don't know, from probably February, they start brooding and they shut down in October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a pretty short season.
That's short.
Yeah. So it's not a huge issue with mites here, like the hive straight up absconding, but there are plenty of colonies that if you didn't treat, then October, you're going to be able to tell that they're just going to be dead in November.
Yeah. Oh,
Even
yeah.
before then and get robbed out. Like I had a hive This was 2.5 weeks ago. They had a mite count of 12 or 13.
Ooh.
And I looked in there, and before I did the mite count, I was so impressed. There's 8 frames of brood completely full in a single deep.
Ah.
2 frames of honey. Can't even explain it. It's amazing. I just, and then I rolled a 13, and then I'm like, what in the world? Like, I didn't see any virus damage on the bee's wings or anything, and you just never know. Just
you never judge a book by the cover.
that's a prime example. I would have to agree. Yeah. DC's Bees had a comment here. Spring and fall mite cleanups are very important. Our season is real short, similar in here in Washington State. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He has a different kind of short though. His is a wet and semi-cold short. I was telling Bob back in March when I had him on, it got to -40 with wind chill at my house on January 1st or something. Yeah. -40.
That's cold, buddy. That's cold, man.
And in northern parts of Maine, it got to -80 or 90.
Whoa, that's nah. They wasn't nobody keeping colonies warm in that.
Well, actually, a lot of beekeepers overwinter outdoors in that area of Maine. So it was -80 with wind chill, but
yeah, that's true.
I think most of the colonies, they get a lot more snow in northern Maine because I live in, we're not considered southern Maine, but we're like, I don't know, 20 miles north of southern Maine. So we're in the lower part of the state, and we're near the coast. So what happens is during the winter, it's not as cold because of the coast. It keeps us stable. And then in the summer, we're also not as hot. So we get the best of both worlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't even got 190-degree day this year. I don't think yet.
Man.
Mid-80s? No 90s.
You need to come party down here in South Appalachia, buddy.
I'll come in March.
Oh, yeah. Smart man.
Yeah. I lived in Memphis before I moved up here. So.
Yeah. Okay. You know all about it then.
Yeah. I definitely do. So, so you've made a lot of queens this year. I think you've gone on the record saying you really enjoy grafting queens. Why is that? And I mean, I know long queen methods are very complicated, but if you give us a quick, 30-second synopsis of what you do.
Oh, well, so I like to make my own queens. It's kind of a money thing and it's a genetic thing because I'm all over Bob with the bees. So I like to keep his genetics, and really the only way to do that is to graft from some of his queens or stock of mine that is really, really close to his. So that's why I like making my own queens. I can assure him and myself that I've got the right stuff, and I'm not really kind of throwing wrenches in his stuff. Yeah. And grafting's the easy part of the cell building process. Yeah. That's why I like it so much. Yeah. That, and I think because at first grafting was very challenging. I'm pretty all right at it now. So I think that's why I like it so much. I saw my growth there. And, I'm okay at it. I'm not the best, but I can be pretty quick with a tool.
I have my doubts, Seth. I've heard some pretty glowing reviews from Bob. I would trust his judgment on that. He's seen a grafter or two in my guess.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So same thing here. Like my first 2 years grafting, granted, I started grafting when I was 15. So I was pretty young at the time. Well, I still am, but my first 2 years of grafting did not get a take better than 50%.
Right.
Granted, our season's so short, I attempted maybe 6 grafts or 7 grafts.
Yeah.
And then this year, my first graft of the year, I got 57 out of 59. And then my second graft, I got 52 out of 59. And then my third graft, 52 out of 58 or something. So
there you go. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It takes time, but eventually it works.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here's DC. This next year I'll focus on grafting and start making my own queens. I think maybe that's typo. Start making my own queens. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a awesome process, and as you haven't dove into yet, it saves you a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. Heck yeah.
It's just it makes such a big difference. I mean, even if you buy 30 or 40 queens, they're at least 30 or
Oh,
$40.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about a chunk for sure.
Yeah. And
Now, if
so,
you're,
yeah,
if you're trying to introduce some different kind of stuff, that might be the way to go. But still, either way, whew, that's yeah,
it's not chunk change.
yeah. I ain't
No.
got Bob's kind of money,
He spent 40 years getting that money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Heck yeah. He earned every bit of it too, man.
Yeah, I've heard some of his stories over the years.
Whew.
Pretty nuts stuff. I remember he told this one story about
Oh
how
man.
he he uh he put Apagard on his hives, and this is when he was moved to Georgia, but I think he was in southern Georgia, and
Yeah.
his hives jumped, or his bees got out of the hive, and then the wax moths and hive beetles got in there and completely destroyed like all of his equipment.
300 of them went toast.
I don't even know how he made it through that. Like that's
Oh man, it's just I don't know. It's perseverance, I guess, tenacity, as he says, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I do you plan on doing that to give yourself a lesson, or what's your ideas
Oh
here?
no, I tend to learn from others and make my own mistakes. It's kind of
Yeah,
like what's his name in Jurassic Park in the second one? And he's like, I'm not gonna make the same mistakes. He's like, yeah, you're gonna make all new ones. Don't worry. It's like, yeah.
yeah. So goes life, I suppose.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Here, DC's beast here again. Dedication to one's craft. Yes, I think
Yes,
Bob
sir.
has definitely passed any
Yep.
threshold you would have at this point.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. He
pretty
sets
crazy.
most of them.
That's most of them. Yeah, especially for you, Appalachian
Oh,
boy there.
absolutely.
Yeah. How is it working for the King Bob?
It's pretty interesting. Bob's a pretty interesting guy. He's very understanding of my position for sure, because he's been there twice, running a
Yeah.
full-time job and trying to start your own beekeeping deal.
Yeah.
And it's pretty great. I mean, Bob's easygoing. He's easy to get along with. If you make a mistake, he's not going to fire you. He's just going to school you on how to do it right next
Yeah.
time. So yeah, he's definitely mastered his craft, just like DC said.
Yeah.
Everything Bob does is for a very particular reason, and that's because it's either went wrong at one point in time or it's not quite the outcome that he wanted. So when he
Yeah.
does stuff, it's for a reason.
If he had one piece of advice that he's given you, what would it be? I know there's probably a lot, but if you could just name one.
Buy once, cry once is probably his best piece of advice he's ever given me. Just
Yeah.
go ahead and bite it off and, chew it up, swallow it, and you'll be. And when I can, I choose to do that. And every time I do, it pays off. So he's correct about that.
Yeah. I remember him saying that, and also further adding to it by saying he would always do the math. And if he could he would calculate how fast he could pay that back and how fast he'd be making money from buying said piece of equipment. And I think there's definitely a lot of value in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Making your stuff work for you is pretty important.
Yeah. Have you made any big investments? And if so, what are they?
My biggest investment this year was really woodenware and, just typical, sugar woodenware.
Mhm.
I haven't really bought any big equipment or anything. I got another trailer, but that was only $2,000. That was a chunk. Don't get me wrong, but it's just, I guess that would be one of my biggest investments aside from all the woodenware I've bought.
Yeah.
Usually like certain type of stuff I'll try to make, like my nuke boxes and stuff. I'll buy raw wood, my lids and stuff like that. But boxes, I like the finger joint style. So I just buy those and nail them together.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest investment this year, was boxes for next year and the years on.
How many boxes do you think you bought this year? Or how many nuke boxes do you have, is what I mean.
Let's see. I think I've got around 300 nuke boxes built, and I've got parts for I don't even know how many more. Next year, I wouldn't mind running probably about, I'm going to run a little different next year. I'm not going to do very many queens. I like doing queens because, you know, people like to get queens and they like to get queens at a certain time and specification and stuff. And I like doing that. It's kind of not a service, but you know what I mean? Kind of like try to help people out a little bit.
I've done it. You have to coordinate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's a lot of, The queens don't care if, you know, mom needs help or if the truck's broke down or, you know, so I'm shying away from that next year. Maybe in years in the future, I'll try it again. But for right now, I think I'm just going to keep it simple and sell singles and make a little honey and try to do that. But
in spite of how many splits you made, did you make any honey this year?
Yeah. So I actually filmed this and I never put the video out. So that shame on me. Sorry, guys.
You still have it, Seth. Come on.
Yeah, I do still have it. I could publish it a little late, but yeah, I had 1 yard. The landowner wanted to see some honey supers thrown out. And I was like, yeah, why not? So I stuck some honey supers on there and I made just under a drum. I made like, how many? I made like 9 buckets. So 9 times 6 is 50. I made like 540 pounds. Yeah, 540 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did you make any honey last year or?
Yeah, I made a little bit last year. It was a little bit less than that because this was my biggest pull as far as, you know, honey pulling goes.
Yeah.
And I put it all in buckets. So yeah, this was last year I made less. This year I made more. But I think I had more colonies trying to make honey.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Maybe. I can't remember. I really can't. I can't remember because the last year I kind of tried to make up my mind that I was just going to run for bees and not run for honey. And then I kind of got optimistic about our summer honey flow. So I was like, maybe we need to try to catch that. And I just called it too late and I didn't. I only made like 35-pound average or something. It wasn't hard to jack. But this year I caught it pretty good. So it wasn't bad. 30-something colony yard and I made a drum. So it wasn't like big averages or nothing like that. But
do you think you'll easily sell all that honey or what do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know for a fact because a lot of the landowners, they like a couple cases at a time. So I give that to them as yard rent, I call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got a few places and then odds and ends people buy it from me. So yeah, I'll be able to get rid of it pretty quick.
I figured. I mean, you're famous now, so.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, man. It's weird, man. Every time you go anywhere beekeeping oriented, everybody knows who you are and you don't know none of them. Feels like a big family reunion kind of, which is cool. I like it, but you know,
but it's different.
A little weird. Yeah, it's different. It's not weird. It's different. That's a good way to put it.
It's interesting. Like I heard someone talking about that who has a pretty large platform, not necessarily in beekeeping, but they were like, there's, you know, thousands of people that feel like they know me, but I don't have any idea who they are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, but as you have said many times, real beekeepers do it in the rain. So
I continue to keep that going, but I've made it a little bit less of a tradition this year.
Seth, you're selling out. What's going on?
I know, man.
Is your fame getting to your head?
I can't keep up. No, every once in a while it'll be, if I know the rain's coming, I'll be like, maybe we need to work in the shop today.
Yeah. Well, Seth, I think I made you proud this week. I was out helping another beekeeper about 40 minutes away and it started sprinkling. And I said right away, I said, guys, real beekeepers doing the rain. And they appreciated it. Yeah.
Good. Heck yeah. That's awesome, man.
Seth, your queens are doing great. So Raven Reviewers here.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear from you.
Yeah. How many roughly do you think you sold? I know you probably don't have exact numbers.
I know for a fact I made 500. I probably sold like 400, maybe around 400 mark. 450 somewhere in there. I could go back to the books and the list and stuff, but it's like 450 or something like that.
That's a lot of queens. Were you expecting me to get that that high production?
So I put a video out. You probably remember, or maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
put a video out in the spring saying I'll have queens available and all that good stuff. And then I just started getting phone calls and emails and
all the time.
Yeah. And I kind of was doing the yes man thing, and then the list got like 2 pages long, and I was like, oh man, oh God. But I finally pulled it off. I had a little bit of a bumpy streak there at the end of the summer. I had a lot kind of going on. Yeah. Well, not just,
just this tough life.
Life. Yeah.
Life gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah. Life just kind of throws wrenches at you and you got to dodge them.
Bees, they don't adhere to our calendar dates or our anything else going on. They don't wait for anything.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
It's I think other than other than real beekeepers do it in the rain, my favorite Seth phrase other than that is, if you shoot for the stars and you land on if you shoot for the stars, you can just land on the moon.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
So what was your hope for colonies this year? Have you hit it or?
So I was planning on, it's kind of that exactly right there, the stars and land on the moon. I was planning on doing about 300 going into the wintertime. I didn't quite hit that, which is fine. I'm not complaining. I'll have, 100 or something to sell for the fall, and then I'll probably take like 100 south or 150. Whatever does not get sold is going south. So,
And so I've heard from other beekeepers, a lot of them are not willing to part with too many of their bees while they're growing their operation to the ideal numbers. What is your ideal number? Is 250 roughly where you want to be?
I could see, because next year I'm actually going to end up going part-time with Bob. So I'm probably going to be in the 350, 400 range. I could see myself doing that.
Would you say that's your like permanent maximum, or what do you think?
For now, when I go completely full-time, the sky's the limit. So, in like probably, I'm young, man. What can I say? Oh man. But, I don't know. That's a thinker. Cause it's going to be weird not working for Bob and showing up to Blue Ridge and saying hi to everybody and shooting the crap with all the guys on the bee crew. It's going to be weird, but I know that day's coming when I'll have to just deal with my bees, and I'll still keep in contact with Bob, and I'm sure I'll still be buying stuff from him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I ever could get into really just having like 1 or 2 helpers. I could see running about 1,500. Doing it not quite to the scale, making queens, making nukes, making honey, just either running for honey or running for bees. Keeping it kind of simple. You can run more bees,
Yeah, for sure.
Eventually, I'd like to go to pollination. I got a buddy down in South Georgia that put me up in Hayhira. He's got a few contracts I could get in on with him if I wanted to.
Would you just do pollination down there?
I don't know, because I'd like to go to California one day just for the experience.
Most people don't actually go, though.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Most people just don't go. But I know the pain of having too many bees sitting around.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of at some point when I've got just so many bees and maybe not enough help, just send a semi-load for a couple of weeks till I can get some of them maintained or sell them or whatever. And when those come back, manage those and then integrate everything back into equalized outfit. But that's one of those, you got to try it out and see how it goes.
So you're saying were you saying 2 full-time employees, 1,500?
Yeah, I could see 2 full-time employees being 1,500 colonies. Doing it a little bit more quick, fast, and dirty style beekeeping, not that it's not going to be detailed, but every little odd and end, and the lid's the 16th this way. Throw it on there and let's go. But we'll see. I don't know. It might come out that it's just it's
Too
more
many.
cost effective to
Yeah.
run less and make
Yeah.
more than it is to run more, make more, but you're tired and everybody's wore out and ready to kill each other after 12-hour days, you know?
Yeah.
But I
Not
don't
ideal.
know. We'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, how young are you again, Seth?
I just turned 24 a few months ago.
So I don't know, Seth. 27 running 1,500 with two people. How many? Well, we'll see, Seth. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you never know. Stuff, you know, life it's kind of funny. I didn't really notice this until I started doing bees, and Bob kind of coached me on it a little bit. But, you know, if you go for something and you try for something, life kind of has a way of
Pushing
opening
you in the right
doors for
direction.
you.
Yeah.
You just have to walk through them and not fall over on the other side. But, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Now, I haven't had major catastrophes yet. I've had a few, but not like majorly crippling. I've got a good support system under me now, and I may not have that in 3 or 4 years. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I think it's going to be quite an adventure, to say the least.
I'm nervously looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not even a little bit excited about it, what's the point, right?
Oh, right. Exactly. Yeah. They say if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Now, that's not 100% true, but I get where they were trying to, what they were trying to say there.
Yeah. I've heard that quote too. And it's like, that's not the entire truth, but you're hitting on something that's important.
Fishing's fun, but I promise you, if you do it the wrong way, you can make fishing work. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just,
Well, yeah, with bees, like there are a lot of things that I love doing, but there are definitely things that are just not fun. And I'm sure you have that as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are those days where it's like, man, y'all gonna make
nothing
gloves today, ain't you? Yep.
Yeah, one day this year I got stung 12 times, I think, and I'm fully suited up, and 12 times, yeah.
Ooh,
it was nice.
Yeah,
I kept track this year. I'm sure you're probably 200-300 plus stings, something like that.
Oh man,
I'm at way more.
Probably more. I mean,
Yeah.
I say that though. Oddly enough, this honey pulling season, I did not get stung much.
Yeah.
There were days when I went into work and I didn't get stung at all. Everybody else around me was getting jacked up. I wasn't getting too bad eat up. And the past couple of weeks, we've started our treatment program with Bob.
Yeah.
And,
so not much bee work. Yeah.
Been wearing a draw veil and no gloves. And there was one mean yard where everybody was gloving up and getting their smokers going. And I was like, well, let's just see how it goes. And I got 3 or 4. I mean, I didn't get chewed up, but I did get 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I don't know. They say the bees sense a lot of your vibes. I don't know if it's just because I've kind of got over the nervousness of being stung a lot. Don't get me wrong. If I pop the lid and about 20 of them come out and start bumping me in the face, the adrenaline gets going a little bit, but it's not like,
you're only human.
You'll see. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah. I'm at 68 so far, I think.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
You talking about colonies or stings?
Stings.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I decided this year, since everyone always asks me, do you get stung? How many times do you get stung? And I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
So I just decided to keep track. But the cool part was my 67th or 66th sting, I got stung by a queen.
What? You are the only living person I know of that I've ever heard say they got stung by a queen.
Yeah.
Really? How did that happen?
So we were with some meaner bees, and they were pretty fired up. We were probably like an hour in. Oh. And so we were combining a nuke with a laying worker colony, and I just didn't want to take any risks. So I brought the queen to the car, and I was caging her so we could let her get used to the new hive.
Right.
And what do you know? They, the queen's just flying up my suit like this, like not actually flying, but where they like halfway between flying and walking.
Yeah,
like really spirited. Yeah, just like that. I figured since you caught so many queens. And she just keeps doing it over and over and over. And then finally I grab her and she just stings the side of my hand.
No kidding.
And I barely felt it, but I'm certain it was a sting from her. Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. Sorry, my hat's getting in my way here.
No problem. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I've heard people say it, but I've never actually saw it or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I feel so lucky. Like most beekeepers have to handle thousands of queens before they got stung. It only took me like 100. I'm just saying. I mean,
yeah, I got you.
Doesn't get much better.
Yeah. The only time I've ever seen a queen with any kind of stinger, it was actually this summer.
Yeah.
I had my fiance with me, and it was getting dark, so all the bees were home. They were getting kind of mad, and I found the queen, and I picked her up, and I didn't quite get her legs in time, and she curled up, and her stinger came out, and it looked like she was licking it or something, and then she fainted. I thought she stung herself in the face and killed herself. I was so mad because it took us forever to find that thing. But she fainted. I was like, man, because I was really just in the false hope that she was alive. Like, let me just stick her in the cage and maybe she'll be fine. And sure enough, she was back alive. I sold her to somebody. So,
yeah. I've had a lot of queens. I mean, I haven't, like I said, I've probably only dealt with about 100 between caging and my colonies over the past 5 years. But I've seen at least 4 or 5 queens faint and just look like they're dead and stop moving.
Wow.
And then the bees will just run around them and they'll like touch her and then she'll just come back to life. It's super weird.
I've only ever seen it happen 3 times, and it was kind of funny. The first time there was a ride along coming to help us. And the first queen she ever picked up just fainted on her, and she thought she killed it deader than a doornail. It was hilarious, man.
That's awful. Yeah.
She was freaking out. She was like, oh no. I was like,
and she wouldn't know. And she wouldn't know that holding them that way would normally not kill them because she'd never done it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Kind of funny. And then the other 2 times was this summer. I had that one faint, and then I had another one that ended up fainted, but I think I had to put that one back because it raised its own or whatever. It wasn't the right genetics. Mm-hmm. So I just left her on the top bars for a minute, and they did their voodoo. And
it's super weird.
I don't know if they're like massaging her or if they're tickling her or what. I don't know what they're doing, but it's weird looking. If you ever get to see it, it's something to stop and worth one time. I mean, they
create that they call it the orbit, where like every bee is facing inwards at her.
Oh, right.
And I mean, they normally do that in a hive. It's not generally that pronounced, but it's fascinating to see that she just slowly perks up and walks down.
Right. I don't know. It's weird. It's just like, oh, well, I guess I passed out. Let me get back down here. I don't know.
Yeah. My dad used to play. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
My dad plays this song, Why Does It Happen? And then the lyrics, why does it happen? Because it happens. And that's pretty accurate.
That's about as accurate as it gets right there for sure.
It's always an interesting thing. You never know what you're going to see in a beehive, and that's part of what makes it interesting, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every one of them's different. Always, never fails.
Always.
Yep.
Yeah,
buddy.
Jay Weirman, really enjoying you fellas' conversation. First talk I've seen on queen fainting. Well, it's a well-known topic all over YouTube, but we just decided to hit on it for a few minutes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Totally planned.
You got 2 professionals here, and that's
yeah, absolutely. You said you sold 400 queens, which I can't even believe you were able to do that. When you started grafting pretty early in the season. Right.
When did I was just trying to think of when I started grafting. I can't even
mid-January. Late January?
No, it wasn't that soon. I did one graft. I can't remember now. It was, let's see, it would have been 5 weeks before Easter. So April, January, February, March. Sometime in like March. I think the middle of March was my first graft down in Hayhira. And then, it would have been
It would have been around the
2
10th
weeks
of March.
before that. Yeah, somewhere like right at the 1st of March. Early
Yeah.
for me. That's a
Yeah.
lot earlier than I'm used to.
Yeah.
So I did that graft, and then I skipped a week. And those nukes that I made down in Hayhira with Bruce's bees, I brought them home and
Mhm.
started my nuke battery with those.
Yep.
And so that's how I got that going.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. And did you end up selling any nukes or just queens this year?
I sold a few nukes. I actually bartered with a few of them. I traded out like 20 of them with a guy for some woodenware and stuff like that.
Nice.
And then, yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. He's pretty cool. We're talking about getting into doing bees partnership wise.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of cool. That's another thing I got into this summer. Crap, I forgot what I was talking about now.
You're talking about how many nukes you sold. You sold a few.
Oh, yeah.
Here
I bartered like 20 of them out, and then I sold like 4 or 5 other ones. Just people hit me up and said, "Hey, man, you got any nukes?" And I was like, yeah, because when I brought those home, it was actually pretty weird. It was a not so every year phenomenon.
Mhm.
I made those nukes with one. Some of them got 2 frames of brood. Some of them got 1. I kind of switched up on Bruce down there. I told him start with 2, and then we went down to 1. Then we went back to 2. It was a bunch of hoopla.
I remember that.
Trying to fill up all the boxes and stuff. So what happened was I thought I was going to get down there, and I thought I was going to have a bunch of starving nukes. But they hit a massive honey flow, and a lot of them filled out all 5 frames, complete like 3 and 4 frames of brood, like ready to sell nukes in 5 weeks. I was like, so that got my wheels turning. Maybe next spring I can try the same move 2 or 3 times and then, sell a couple hundred nukes or maybe 100 nukes or I don't know.
Do you think the flow will happen again? I mean, it's dependent on the year.
That's the thing.
It's a risk.
The flow won't, but I can get down there and feed them. If I need to. But if there's a flow going on, that's even better because that's way more stimulating.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's better for them and all that good stuff.
Less money.
Yeah, less money for sure. Yeah, it's expensive going 4.5 hours one way and coming back 4.5 hours
in a bee truck.
In a bee truck, and especially in one of them. Well, I say that now. Gas up here. What's gas price up your way nowadays?
I don't want to talk about it. $3.99.
Golly. Oh man, I run high octane in my truck, and it's like 4 or something. It's basically the same price as diesel.
Yeah.
So it's like, why am I driving a gas truck when I could be rolling around in a diesel truck? So I'm kind of looking for me a diesel truck right now. But anyway, that's a side off the topic deal.
That's what we're here for tonight,
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so that got my wheels turning on selling nukes next spring a little bit. I don't really want to sell nukes yet because all my frames are still like 2 and 3 years old. They're not kind of ready to put in a nuke and sell yet. I don't mind selling a few nukes like 20 or 30. That's not a big deal.
So are you just going to go for honey next year then?
I don't know. I'm still in that I'm torn phase because in the spring, I could make a few packages to get us through the spring. And then I could do bees and get up to the bees I want and then either try to catch sourwood or I could run for spring honey, then do a bunch of splits, big splits, and try to run for sourwood too. So I don't know. I'll kind of have to play with it and see where we're at and what kind of time frame I'm looking at. I'll have a lot more time next year, so that'll mean a lot more bees.
Yeah.
And, I'll also have a lot going on at the house next spring. So yeah, we'll see. But anyway.
How much are you working for Bob right now? How many hours a week?
So full time right now. June and July is kind of a unspoken agreement that you don't get a day off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But afterwards, if you need a day off to go work bees or work on truck or whatever, he's pretty lenient about that. But June and July, he really likes you to be in the truck, ready to go.
Yeah.
After, lifting honey and doing all that good stuff.
How late into the evening and
we usually work about 5. The crew usually works about 5. That's kind of everybody's getting off time. I'm young, so I can work from daylight till dark and then some. all the other people I work with, they're younger, but they got kids at home and
Yeah.
they got stuff to do. I get that.
They've got
I
a
got
life
stuff to
outside
do.
of bees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do, but I don't have time for it. I got to start making time for it, though. That's the other thing about beekeeping is it's really like absolving of your energy and time. So you have to really budget your time and your energy for the bees and then everything else. Because a lot of people just work, and then they come home and they're tired and it's like, whatever. So.
Yep. There's always a balance. But it takes a while to figure out what that is, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. When do you guys get out into the yards?
So it depends. Like if we come in every once in a while, we'll come in like at 4 or 4:30 or maybe sometimes 3:30. We'll come in a little early so we can get the trucks ready for the next morning. Usually I get there around like right at 8, maybe a little bit after sometimes if traffic's terrible. I just moved like 45 minutes away, so I'm still having to get used to you got to get moving 20 minutes early type of deal. I'm checking oil in the morning and all that, tire pressure and all that stuff, so I can go to work after work, and then I get caught up doing that. And Anyway, so I usually get there right at about 8, and we start getting the trucks ready immediately. Sometimes we'll have to go get orders depending on what the day brings or what changes, or somebody's not here today, so we got to do this instead, or this happened the other night while we weren't, typical stuff. Right now that consists of usually making a tote of syrup in the morning, getting the truck cleaned out from all the garbage from the day before and getting the treatments ready and making sure the feed hose works and making sure there's WD-40 so that the rusty lock at the yard you've had for 25 years works and stuff like that. Takes about, I don't know, probably about an hour and a half. Sometimes if we really got to get the truck prepared. So we usually leave around like 9:30, 9:45. If it's a good day, we get out at like 8:30. Bob's like, he's happy about that. So we try to all hurry up and get stuff going, but it don't. Sometimes stuff breaks in the middle of doing stuff and you get, you know how it goes.
Yeah. There's always a plan. You don't know what that's going to be. It seems like.
Oh, it's always changing. It never fails.
Yeah. One of my stories, I've told this on a couple other live chats, is I was out with Gus Mitchell in Memphis this spring. I got to fly there over April break here in Maine.
Yeah, cool.
And I helped him make like 80 splits that day. But but when I was there, we got to the first yard. I woke up at like 6, and we drove out to Arkansas from Memphis because his bees are on the opposite side of the Mississippi.
Oh wow!
To the west side. So he lives pretty far away from his hives and his shop. But we got there and we were out at the first yard at probably like 7:20. And from your reaction, you already know about how well that went. None of the bees had started flying because it was April, so it wasn't even that warm. Like it was like 70. The high for the day was like 75. It was probably like 60, 58 degrees, something like that.
Nice, cool spring morning.
And the rest of the day was beautiful. But the beginning of the morning, I'm just feeling like I'm walking on water, like I can't do anything wrong. There's like a cloud of bees just all over me. And I haven't got stung one time. I'm like just on cloud 9. I can't believe it. And bang, I touched my nose to my veil for just a second. Nails me on the nose. And I know that if I try to wipe the tears out of my eyes, I just instantly start crying. And the tears like are stuck around my nose, and I'm like blinking, trying to see, and not like I had a nuke in my hand. I was trying to not drop it. And Gus goes, "Did you get stung?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I get popped again in the back, and I'm fine. And I don't get stung the rest of the entire day. We go through another 5-6 yards. Don't get stung once. The bees were happy. But that 4 out of my first 7 stings, or 3 out of my first 7 stings, were on the face this year.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't like getting stung in the face. I draw the line at face stings. That's when the smoker gets kind of hot.
Yeah. One of them was so weird. I was driving in the car. It was like February. I'd put on like sugar that day. And I've had bees riding around in the car with me all the time. Never
Yeah.
any issues. I mean, it scared me at first, but I'm so used to it, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
And one of them just stings me on the head. I don't understand why. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that was weird. Weird day.
Yeah, every once in a while they just kind of are ornery. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
You know how it
So
is what it
how
is.
old are you?
I'll be 18 in the fall.
Oh man. Yeah, man, you're all right. That'll be, that's cool, man. How many colonies do you got?
So I got about 20 and 15 nukes. I'm hoping to combine those nukes into 25 and 5 for the winter. 25 hives, 5 nukes. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you like going to college, or are you going to stick with the bees, or?
Yeah. So my parents, well, mostly my mother, really want me to go to college.
Yeah.
And I am vehemently opposed to it. And so my goal is there's a beekeeping outfit about an hour north of me, and they run about, I think it's 6,000 colonies.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot of beehives, buddy.
Yeah. And so they head down to Georgia for the winter. So I can work almost year round for them. And
absolutely,
so
man.
I think that I'll move my bees with me next spring. And do the same thing that you're doing. So build out my bees on the side while I work for another beekeeper.
That would be good, man. That'd be cool. Well, heck yeah, man. If you need, assistance, I'm in Georgia. So I can help you out a little bit here and there. But that's awesome, man. See, I wish I'd have I say that I didn't discover beekeeping until I was halfway through college. So I can't really make that excuse. But if you're going to make the move, now's the time to do it, because you still got quite a bit of spring chicken in you. And that's cool, man. That's really good. So I'm pretty
excited.
Yeah, man, that's exciting. That's really cool, because nobody our age does this. Nobody does this anymore. I don't hear of any people, like everybody I graduated high school with. They're just out doing whatever. I don't even know what. I don't hear of any of it. Yeah, definitely not bees. I don't hear of any of them starting their own. Well, even starting their own business or trying to like make something for their future generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're a dying breed, buddy.
The funny part is if I move north, I'm going to have to buy like 4 bear fences. So I'm going to enjoy that.
Oh yeah. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
I recommend the Parmac. They'll put you down.
Down where I live, we live in southern Maine, so we get the occasional bear, but it's very, very rare. But up north, everybody has bear fences, every yard.
That's cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And my plan is, I made queens this year, but next year if I have to do that, probably I'll have to move them up before I graduate. I graduate next spring.
Cool.
And I think that I'll split them a bunch when I get there. And that way I can have a few weeks before I, move up there.
Yeah, there you go.
And so I'll make like just an insane amount of splits.
Absolutely.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Safety in numbers. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Hopefully I can stave off any swarming without having to be there, and we'll have plenty of food around that time of year. So
if you make them small and you starve them, they won't swarm.
Yeah.
Starvation. It's a little bit of a controversial ethical deal, but starvation is by far the best swarm control. Beats apigard, beats splitting, beats any of it. I'm not even remotely joking. They will not swarm if there's no honey in the colony.
Yeah.
Now
it's crazy.
It's just kind of
within reason.
You don't want to kill them, but you don't want them swarm. So it's
you're playing with fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not something that I have to deal with here, because we have flows during the springtime when they'd want to swarm. But but that might be the case for you in Georgia, right?
Right,
That's what you're.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. We don't
Yeah.
start really bringing in honey until like the end of April.
Yeah.
So we've got major swarming through like April, May, and June is when swarming kind of stops. That's the kind
Yeah.
of you got summer honey coming in, and they're kind of in that sweet spot. If they're not managed properly, they done swarm 2 or 3 times, so they're kind of in that sweet spot. After June, you don't have much swarming, but it is trying to keep 40 plates running on one spinning deal to between then and now.
Yeah.
I had the worst swarming when
You've
I
ever
went to
had.
Hahira this year.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
I say that it was from lack of equipment and kind of lack of experience. I didn't time my graft right. If I would have grafted a week earlier, I could have split them and it would have been not so bad. But it was one of those years where it's like the 1 in 20 years where they had a massive flow, and the stuff's 3 weeks early. So, the bees were just going nuts. They were full blown double deeps by I guess March 1st. They were ready to swarm. They were trying to swarm the second weekend in February. Slap full double deeps trying to swarm the second weekend in February.
That's nuts. You said your swarm season ends in June?
Yes.
I mean, ours doesn't proper start in June. Like, it starts in mid to late May, but like most of the swarms in Maine happen in June.
Really?
Yeah.
That's got to do with your honey flow, I'd bet.
Well, just our season's so much later.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Because we get our crocuses bloom typically. I know this, but I think it's like the last week of March, first week of April.
Yeah.
So our first pollen starts on the beginning of April. Our honey flow is already going, definitely by late May. So we only have like a month and a half of buildup here, whereas you guys got 3.5 months or something.
Holy crap! Yeah, that is short, man.
Yeah.
You'll see. Don't worry. You get in with that 6K outfit up there, and you start coming to Georgia. You're gonna be like, oh man.
Yeah. It'll definitely be an experience. So do you only work? Man. Yeah. Do you only work your bees so like the weeks that June and July with Bob, you work the whole time. So you're only working bees, after 5?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong, you get those long summer days, so you can put in 4 or 5 hours if you play your cards right. Now, what that usually consists of is loading the trailer the morning before you go to work with Bob, and then you're ready to ride. And if you get done early enough, you can load the trailer for the next day, or you can move the truck around, fill up the tote, and get everything ready.
Yeah.
If you do good play clock management, it's not terrible. It's just long hours and, it can be pretty rigorous in 95-degree heat with 100% humidity.
I could imagine. Yeah.
It's like walking in a swimming pool. It's so nice.
Yeah. It's so humid this year.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I've lived in the South. We like I said this on the last live chat. We got rain this year between like June 5th and July 15th. We had rain. Our best streaks of weather were maybe 3 or 4 days without rain, which probably normal for you. That does not happen here, like ever.
Really?
It's been really extreme year as far as rain goes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We just now have got in they call it the dog days or whatever.
Yeah.
Every day about 4 o'clock, you can almost tune a watch to it. There'll be a little bit of rain somewhere over time.
Really? Huh.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. It's a weird phenomenon, but it's pretty cool. Yeah. You just got to keep everything covered. So you go to Harbor Freight and you buy like 20 of the cheapo tarps and try your best.
You're going to have to try pretty hard.
Oh, man. I need a building, but I'm calling it Tarp City down there at my grandma's shop. She loves it, by the way. She thinks it's beautiful. And oh, man. It's really eye appealing.
I've heard more convincing things in my life, but okay.
Yeah, she's okay though. She knows I'm trying to do stuff, so it's not like I'm just doing it for the heck of it.
Yeah.
So
I saw a question from DC here. Seth, Did you run into early spring queen issues that so many beekeepers did this year? Did the crazy weather season affect your production?
No, I had a wonderful spring queen. I only did one round, but like I say, they hit a honey flow and like perfect mating weather. A lot of them made it back. Some of them didn't. I can't remember what the average was on that. It wasn't
Yeah.
great, but it wasn't like terrible. It was
What,
about average.
70s?
Oh yeah, it was somewhere in the 70s, high 70s. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And they did great. Like I
And
say, I sold like 20 nukes out of it, and I think I sold 40 of those queens and established the battery. I think that's how that went.
yeah. What was I going to say? Is so you got high 70s, but that was without any other drone mating yards, right?
Well, no, I had that
Oh,
guy
okay.
that set me up down in
Oh,
Ahira.
gotcha.
He's trying to run a little bit of Bob stock.
Yeah.
And we strategically found or placed these bees in between a couple yards so they could touch enough drones, and it worked. It worked pretty good. They were actually really good bees. I kind of wish I would have kept them and made splits off of them and sold those queens, because they were almost a perfect cross of the Carney Caucasian type of stuff with Italian. They were gentle and frugal, but they still had the big brood up kind of
Tendency.
characteristics. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. They like to really get it going and get it moving. And, all the good qualities of the Carney Caucasian in with the Italian. They were
Yeah.
not quite the perfect bee. There is no such thing, but they were
Yeah.
pretty close. And that's,
Well, I think there is a perfect bee in your imagination.
yeah, right. The miteless bee.
Yeah, the miteless bee. Hey, people have been looking for it for nearly 40 years now.
Oh man, it's the silver bullet nobody can load in the gun and fire off. It's just
Yeah.
we're stuck with it. We're just gonna have to deal with it, And I get, there's different ways to go about doing it, and the treatment people or
Yeah.
the anti-treatment people and all that stuff. I salute the anti-treatment people. I really do, because if you can keep bees alive without your mite, or without messing with other people, mite bombing them and all that stuff, hats off to you.
Yeah.
But it's not feasible for people trying to make a living at beekeeping. Hobbyists, and maybe smaller sideliners, go for it. I can't do it.
Well, there's nuance to it, but it's interesting that people have a blind spot for bees, because any other animal that dies from you not managing it is considered
oh yeah, it's abuse. Yeah.
But when it comes to insects, it's not. And so
nah.
there's some gray area there, but
a little bit.
It's hard for me to watch certain beekeepers that I know. They'll buy packages every spring, they die every winter, they don't care, and then they move on to the next year.
That is interesting, because you think of a bee, it's technically, I guess I forget the biology here, but it's technically a colony, and you're always having to swap parts out of the colony. So it's kind of not, it's an organism, but I look at it as like an engine. You got to change the plugs. You got to put more oil in it. You got to do, so I don't know. I guess that's just kind of subconsciously in the back of people's brains. It's not like a dog or a cat.
It's not a pet. Yeah.
Or exactly.
Yeah. It's,
I don't know.
We all have interesting ways of processing the world around us. And that is the same with bees.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mary here, good for both of you. You can learn by doing. Not everyone needs a college degree.
I wish I would have heard that when I graduated high school. That's the one thing I cannot preach enough to people, especially nowadays. I'm not going to get into that, but we need more people that know how to use these and this. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Seth, weren't you going to become a wildlife?
Yes, I was guilty of, but I went.
Well, I just mean that you were still pursuing your passion of being outdoors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I see. I went to ABAC. I don't know if anybody watching or where that's at. It's Tifton, Georgia. Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College. They do like farms. They actually have a really good nursing program now, but what they're really known for is forestry and wildlife management. That's their big draw. A lot of people, when I was going, went for business because they went. I think that's a common move among collegiate people. When they can't excel at the degree they pick, they just go for business and then try to do something else, which is fine. It's a perfectly good move. I know a really good friend of mine that did that, and he's doing pretty well for himself now. So, you know, if you can find the main thing, it's not don't go to college or go to college. It's just find whatever you can make stick and be happy. That's the main thing we need to teach people. Absolutely. And bees is a good way to do that. That's a great way to do that.
Yep. I'm so glad I got you on here tonight, Seth.
It's good to talk to you, man. Absolutely, I've seen you around. I just haven't got to shake your hand and say hey or nothing, you know.
I'll see you in January, right?
Yeah.
You'll be at Bee Expo.
Yep. The North American Bee Expo, baby. Heck yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you then. Where can people find you, Seth?
So I have the YouTube, Appalachian Bee Ranch. I think my email and stuff's on there. If not, I'll get it rigged up. But I got some videos coming. So if y'all want to check me out, I'm on there. I may or may not have an Appalachian Bee Ranch Facebook. I don't know. I'll have to put a video out on that.
You might. Yeah. I'm dying for more content, Seth. So just know I'll be sitting on the channel.
All right, copy that. I'll have the next video sponsored by Rainer. We'll get that.
Okay. Going. All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks talking to you. I hope everyone has a good night, and you as well, Seth. Good night.
Yeah. Y'all have a good one, man.
Yep. Bye.